Kenya and Ethiopia are two neighboring countries located in East Africa, both with capable militaries, though they differ in size, structure, and strategic priorities. The National Military of Ethiopia is called the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, while the National Military of Kenya is called the Kenya Defense Forces. In today's video, therefore, we are going to compare the militaries of Kenya and Ethiopia, focusing on manpower capacity, the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, and the Special Forces. Number 5. Manpower capacity. Ethiopian National Defense Forces versus Kenya Defense Forces. Ethiopian National Defense Forces, or the ENDF, 162,000 active personnel. The Ethiopian National Defense Forces is the national military of Ethiopia and is one of the largest and most experienced military forces in Africa, responsible for safeguarding Ethiopia's sovereignty and regional influence. It is also one of the strongest militaries in Africa, ranking 5th in Africa and 52nd globally with a firepower index of 0.9305. The Kenya Defense Forces, or the KDF, 24,000 active personnel. The Kenya Defense Forces, or the KDF, on the other hand, is smaller in size compared to the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, but is considered one of the most professional and modern militaries in East Africa. The KDF is the second strongest military in East Africa after Ethiopia, ranking 11th in Africa and 83rd globally with a global firepower index of 1.8135. In conclusion, the Ethiopian National Defense Forces is stronger than the Kenya Defense Forces in manpower capacity, global ranking, and firepower index. Number 4. Ethiopian versus Kenyan Army. Ethiopian Army, 680 main battle tanks. The Ethiopian Army, or the Land Forces, is the largest branch of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces with a capacity of about 140,000 active personnel. It is one of the most heavily equipped armies, boasting 680 main battle tanks, ranking it 6th in Africa and 25th globally. The Ethiopian Army is also one of the largest and most experienced land forces in Africa, structured into various divisions, brigades, and mechanized units. The Kenyan Army, 76 main battle tanks. The Kenyan Army is the largest and the oldest branch of the Kenya Defense Forces, responsible for ground-based military operations. The Kenyan Army is structured into infantry, armored, artillery, engineering, and special corps, making it a central pillar of Kenya's overall defense and stability. The Kenyan Army has a personnel capacity of about 20,000, equipped with 76 main battle tanks. In comparison, the Ethiopian Army is superior to the Kenyan Army in terms of both the personnel capacity and the number of main battle tanks. Number 3. Ethiopia versus Kenyan Air Force. Ethiopian Air Force, 103 total aircraft. The Ethiopian Air Force is the aerial branch of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, headquartered in Arar Meda in the Bishoftu region. It is one of the oldest and combat-tested air forces in Africa, dating back to the 1920s. The Ethiopian Air Force has a personnel capacity of about 5,000, equipped with about 103 total aircraft, comprising of fighter jets, transport aircraft, helicopters, surveillance, trainer aircraft, and the UAVs. The Kenyan Air Force, 155 total aircraft. The Kenyan Air Force is the aerial branch of the Kenya Defense Forces, established in 1964 and tasked with defending the national airspace, supporting ground operations, and conducting surveillance missions. The Kenyan Air Force has a personnel capacity of about 2,500, equipped with about 155 aircraft, comprising of combat and utility aircraft, trainer aircraft, attack helicopters, transport planes, and trainers. In comparison, the Ethiopian Air Force has a larger personnel capacity and is more experienced in battle than the Kenyan Air Force, but the Kenyan Air Force has a more modern and larger aircraft. Number 2. Ethiopia versus Kenya Navy. The Ethiopian Navy, 12 naval craft. Ethiopia maintained a strong imperial navy from 1995 to 1996, reaching a peak of 81 ships and 11,500 personnel by 1991. However, in 1996, the Ethiopian Navy was disbanded following Eritrea's independence, which left Ethiopia a landlocked country. However, in 2018, under Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, Ethiopia announced plans to re-establish the navy after recognizing the importance of maritime security for trade routes and national defense. The new Ethiopian Navy is still in its formative stages, based in Lake Tana, and is intended to be a green water force focused on maritime trade routes through the neighboring ports of Djibouti, Sudan, and Somalia. The Kenyan Navy, 21 naval craft. The Kenyan Navy is the smallest branch of the Kenya Defense Forces, headquartered in Mombasa and bases across Mtongwe, Manda Bay, Shimoni, Msambweni, Malindi, and Kilifi. The Kenyan Navy was established in 1964 and is responsible for safeguarding the country's territorial waters along the Indian Ocean coastline. The Kenyan Navy has a personnel capacity of about 1,500, equipped with about 21 naval craft. In comparison, Kenya is a larger, better equipped and well-established navy compared to Ethiopia, which is a landlocked country that is still in the process of forming an established navy. Number 1. Ethiopia versus Kenya Special Forces. Ethiopia Special Forces. Ethiopia is one of the most feared special forces in Africa, called the Agazi Commandos or the Republican Guard Special Forces, responsible for the country's special operations missions. These units are renowned for their toughness, extensive training, and direct involvement in Ethiopia's internal and regional conflicts, including counterinsurgency operations against groups like the Tigray People's Liberation Front, the Oromo Liberation Army, and extremist threats along the border with Eritrea and Somalia. Kenya, on the other hand, has several elite formations, including the Special Forces or the SF, the 20th Parachute Battalion or the Para, and the 30th Special Operations Regiment or the SOR, all operating under the Kenya Army Special Operations Brigade. These units are highly trained in counter-terrorism and conventional warfare and reconnaissance, especially against the Al-Shabaab militants in Somalia and within the Kenyan borders. In comparison, the Kenya Special Forces units are stronger in terms of international missions and counter-terrorism specializations, while the Ethiopian Special Forces excel in internal security, high-intensity conflict, and guerrilla warfare. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe as I bring you more information on the African continent, people, and culture.